A lot of women think that men don't need to be told how special they are. They think because we act strong, confident, or independent, we don't need words of appreciation. But let me tell you something. Men love to be affirmed just as much as women do. See, the truth is men don't get compliments the same way women do. Nobody's out there telling a man, "You look good today," or "I appreciate how hard you're working." A man can go years without hearing genuine words of admiration. And that's why when a woman says the right thing, it hits deep. The problem is only about 1% of women actually say it. Most think it'll make them look desperate or weak. Nah, baby, it makes you powerful. When a woman looks at her man and says, "I feel safe with you," that man's chest puffs out like he just conquered the world. You just spoke to something every man is wired to protect, his purpose. You told him he's doing something right. When you tell him, "I'm proud of you," you're not just saying words, you're fueling his drive. Men live for that feeling of being respected, appreciated, and seen. And if he's a real man, he'll move mountains for a woman who sees his effort. A lot of women think that men don't need to be told how special they are. They believe men are naturally confident, tough, and emotionally strong enough to not need any kind of emotional reassurance. But that's where most people get it wrong. Men might act tough, they might seem unbothered, but deep down, they love to be appreciated. They love to hear certain words, not just about how they look, but about who they are and what they do. See, when a man hears genuine appreciation, it hits different. It goes straight to his soul, because men are wired to provide, protect, and prove themselves. And when you acknowledge that, it's like giving them air to breathe. What most women don't understand is that men live in a world where they rarely hear anything uplifting. Think about it. Women are often told they look beautiful, that they're special, that they're strong. But men, hardly anyone says, "You're doing great," or "I'm proud of you." A man can go his whole day working, stressing, fighting battles no one sees, and nobody tells him he's enough. Then one woman comes along and says the right thing, something simple but powerful, and that man will never forget her, because she made him feel seen. She made him feel valued. And that's where only 1% of women really stand out. These women know how to speak life into a man. They don't nag him about what he isn't doing. They appreciate what he is doing. They don't belittle his efforts. They honor them. When a woman looks at her man and says, "I feel safe with you," she's not just saying words. She's giving him purpose. She's telling him, "You're doing something right." Those words awaken something inside a man that makes him want to do even more for her. It's like a spark that turns into a flame. When you tell a man, "I'm proud of you," it's not about feeding his ego. It's about recognizing his effort. Men are built to pursue goals, to achieve, to be recognized. And when a woman acknowledges that effort, it gives him fuel. It's like a quiet voice saying, "Keep going. She believes in you." That belief makes a man go harder, not just in his work, but in his relationship too. He starts showing up stronger, more present, more protective, because now he feels like what he's doing actually matters. But the one that hits the deepest is when a woman says, "I trust you." Trust is everything to a man. It means she believes in his ability to lead, to protect, to make the right choices. It says, "I see you as capable." When a man hears that, he'll move mountains for that woman. He'll work harder, love deeper, and fight for her like no one else, because she's not questioning him. She's believing in him. And that's rare. That's powerful. See, it's not about saying things just to please a man or manipulate him. It's about genuine appreciation, because every man, no matter how strong or successful, needs to feel like his presence means something. When a woman speaks those words with sincerity, she becomes unforgettable. She's not like the rest, because she's feeding his soul, not his pride. And that kind of woman doesn't chase love. It comes to her naturally because she knows how to build it. Men might not say it, but they crave that softness, that recognition, that sense of being seen and valued. When a woman gives that to a man, he doesn't just fall in love with her. He becomes loyal to her. He feels like he's found a safe place where he can be himself without judgment. And that's the kind of connection that lasts. Most women miss this because they think showing appreciation makes them look weak. But it's the opposite. It makes them powerful, because the woman who knows how to speak to a man's heart can have any man's respect, devotion, and love. It's not about control, it's about understanding. Men love to hear these words, but only 1% of women say them. And those women, they don't have to chase love, they inspire it. When a woman tells a man, "I'm proud of you," something inside him changes. It's not just a compliment, it's confirmation that what he's doing matters. Most men spend their lives trying to prove themselves to their families, to society, to the people who doubt them. They're always carrying silent pressure to perform, to provide, to protect, to be strong. But the truth is they rarely get recognized for it. They go through hard days, sleepless nights, constant worries, and still keep moving because that's what men are taught to do. Keep pushing no matter what. But deep down, every man wants to know that his effort isn't going unnoticed. He wants someone to look at him and say, "You're doing great. I see what you're trying to do." When a woman gives that kind of reassurance, it touches a place inside him that nothing else can. Men don't need a cheerleader. They need a believer. Someone who stands beside them and reminds them that they're enough, even when they're not at their best. When a woman says, "I trust you," she's giving him something he can't buy or demand. She's giving him faith. That one phrase can change the way he walks, the way he works, the way he loves. Because now he knows there's someone in his corner who believes in his judgment, his strength, his direction. That belief builds confidence, and confidence builds consistency. A man who feels trusted becomes more responsible, more devoted, and more protective because he doesn't want to let that woman down. When you say, "You make me feel safe," you're not just talking about physical safety. You're talking about emotional safety, the kind of peace a man brings when his presence feels steady and secure. Men crave that kind of feedback because it tells them they're fulfilling one of their deepest purposes, to make the woman they love feel safe and cared for. That sentence alone can change the energy in a relationship. It makes him feel seen for something he does naturally, but never gets acknowledged for. It tells him his efforts are worth something. And yet, so many women hold back those words. Some think men don't need them. Others fear it'll make them seem too dependent. But the truth is, words like that don't make a woman weak. They make her wise. Because when you understand a man's emotional language, you learn how to speak to his heart in ways most people can't. It's not manipulation, it's connection. It's choosing to build love on mutual appreciation instead of silent expectations. When you speak life into a man, when you remind him of his worth, he naturally turns that energy back toward you. He starts protecting you more fiercely, listening more attentively, and loving more deeply. He feels safe being vulnerable because he knows you're not just with him for what he provides. You're with him because you see who he truly is. That's the kind of love that transforms a man. He'll go out into the world with a different kind of confidence, knowing there's someone who believes in him even when he doubts himself. That's why the rare woman who says these things stands out so much. She's not competing for attention or playing games. She's building connection through truth and kindness. When a man finds a woman like that, he doesn't take her for granted. He cherishes her because she gives him something most people never do: peace. Men might not always admit it, but what they want most isn't control or admiration. It's understanding. They want to feel like their effort has meaning, that their strength is noticed, that their presence matters. And when a woman speaks those truths out loud, she becomes unforgettable. She becomes the reason a man wants to do better, be better, and love harder, because her words made him feel like he already was enough. You want to know something powerful? When a man hears the words, "I trust you," it hits a part of his heart that most people never reach. Because for a man, trust isn't just about believing he won't lie or cheat. It's about believing in his ability to lead, decide, and protect. It's about seeing him as capable even when life throws challenges at him. Men carry a silent responsibility to always have the answers, to always stay strong, to always fix things. But deep down, they carry doubts just like anyone else. They question themselves, their direction, and their worth. So when a woman looks him in the eyes and says, "I trust you," she's doing more than giving him words. She's giving him strength. She's telling him, "I see your effort. I believe in your judgment, and I know you've got this." That belief fuels him in ways no one else can. Trust is sacred to a man because it touches his purpose. When he feels trusted, he feels respected. And when he feels respected, he gives love in return. You see, men are simple in what they want. They just want to feel needed and respected by the woman they care about. The world already questions him, criticizes him, and challenges him every day. But when he comes home to a woman who believes in him, who gives him peace instead of pressure, it changes everything. He feels like he's got someone who's not against him, but with him, and that makes him want to be an even better man. A lot of women underestimate how powerful their words are. They think trust is just about not doubting him. But it's deeper than that. It's about creating space where he can be himself, where he doesn't have to perform, where he can be vulnerable without being judged. When a man feels trusted, he doesn't have to pretend to be strong all the time. He starts opening up. He shares his fears, his plans, his dreams, because he knows he's with someone who won't use his weaknesses against him. That's rare, and that's why he treasures it. Men naturally want to lead and provide, but leadership isn't about control. It's about responsibility. And every man needs someone who reminds him that he's doing a good job at it. When you trust a man enough to let him take the wheel sometimes, he doesn't take advantage of it. He takes pride in it. He starts thinking differently, planning more carefully, because he doesn't want to disappoint the faith you've shown in him. That's what happens when you give a man trust. He doesn't take it lightly. He honors it. But when trust is missing, a man begins to shut down. If every decision he makes is doubted, if every effort is questioned, he starts to feel small. It's not because he's fragile. It's because men measure their worth through what they can provide and protect. When you make him feel like he's failing at that, it hits deep. But when you make him feel capable, it brings out the best in him. He becomes more thoughtful, more driven, and more secure. That's why saying, "I trust you," carries so much weight. It tells him he doesn't have to prove himself every day just to earn your belief. It tells him he's already enough as he is. That kind of support builds a foundation stronger than any fancy date or romantic gesture. It builds partnership, and in that partnership, love grows naturally. Most women don't realize it, but men crave emotional safety just like women do. They just show it differently. When a man feels trusted, he's not just loyal, he's at peace. And that peace makes him want to protect that bond with everything he's got. Because once a man feels trusted by the woman he loves, he'll do whatever it takes to never lose that feeling again. A man might not say it out loud, but he remembers every word a woman says that makes him feel valued. When you tell a man, "You make me feel safe," you're not just flattering him. You're reaching into his deepest instinct. Every real man has an internal need to protect, to provide, to make sure the people he loves are okay. When you acknowledge that you're not giving him power over you, you're giving him purpose. You're showing him that his presence means something. In a world that constantly makes men feel like they have to compete or prove themselves, your words become a calm in the storm. They tell him that who he is and what he does matters. Most men live with quiet pressure on their shoulders. They worry about finances, about keeping their family stable, about doing enough, being enough, providing enough. but they rarely get told they're doing a good job. They rarely hear appreciation for the sacrifices they make. That's why when a woman looks at her man and says, "I feel safe with you," it does more for him than she'll ever know. It reassures him that he's not failing. It tells him that all the effort he's putting in, those long hours, those tough choices, hasn't gone unnoticed. It gives him peace, and peace is something men don't get often. And the safety you're talking about isn't just physical, it's emotional too. It's about feeling comfortable enough to be vulnerable, to let his guard down, to show you the side of him that the world never sees. When you tell a man he makes you feel safe, you're saying, "I can relax around you. I can trust you with my heart." That's a level of intimacy that goes beyond attraction or chemistry. It builds a kind of connection where both people feel grounded and secure. Men aren't used to hearing that they're a source of peace. Society teaches them to be providers, protectors, and problem solvers, but not to be appreciated for it. That's why the woman who speaks those words stands out. She's not nagging him, not competing with him, not trying to control him. She's acknowledging his effort in a way that makes him feel needed and respected. And when a man feels respected, he responds with love. That's the secret that so many people miss. You don't have to demand love from a man. You inspire it through appreciation and recognition. When you tell him, "You make me feel safe," it reminds him that his strength has meaning. It makes him feel like he's living his purpose, not just existing. And that feeling motivates him to give even more. He'll naturally become more attentive, more affectionate, and more protective, because now he knows that his presence has real value in your life. He'll want to keep creating that feeling for you, because your words didn't just feed his ego, they fed his soul. Some women hold back from saying these things because they think it'll make them seem too soft. But real softness isn't weakness, it's power. It's the kind of quiet power that can transform how a man loves. When you speak to a man's heart instead of his pride, you reach him in a way that no one else can. You make him feel at home. You become the place he wants to return to after facing the world all day. Those words, simple, sincere, and real, can change the direction of a relationship. Because once a man feels that peace with you, he won't want to lose it. He'll protect you. And not because you asked him to, but because your words reminded him of what he was built to do, to love, to lead, and to make the woman beside him feel safe in every way possible. A lot of people think that words don't matter that much, that actions are all that count. But that's not true. Words are powerful. The right words can build a person up or break them down completely. And when it comes to men, most of them don't even realize how starved they are for real, kind words until they finally hear them. You see, men live in a world where they have to act strong all the time. They don't get much softness. They don't get much comfort. They wake up, work hard, face pressure, and keep everything bottled inside because that's what society expects from them. But when a woman comes into his life and speaks life into him with her words, something inside that man shifts. He starts to feel seen, appreciated, and most importantly, safe. When a woman says something genuine like, "I'm proud of you, I trust you," or "You make me feel safe," those aren't just sentences, they're affirmations of his worth. They tell him he's doing something right, that his efforts aren't going unnoticed. And men need that more than they'll ever admit. A man might act confident, but every man has doubts. Every man wonders if what he's doing is enough. When a woman steps in and reminds him that he is, it gives him fuel to keep going. It's not about feeding his ego. It's about feeding his purpose. Men thrive on purpose. They want to know that their actions mean something, that their love is being received, that their effort has an impact. When a woman gives him that affirmation, she's not making him dependent on her approval. She's helping him grow into his best self. Because when a man feels valued, he becomes better. He starts thinking more clearly, working harder, loving deeper. That's what happens when you give a man peace instead of pressure. You don't have to fix him. You just have to believe in him. The sad truth is that most men go through life without ever hearing these things. They get criticized when they fall short, but rarely praised when they do well. They get told to be strong, but never thanked for being dependable. That's why when a woman shows up and chooses to be gentle instead of judgmental, she stands out. He doesn't forget her because she gave him something he wasn't getting anywhere else. Emotional safety. That's the thing people don't talk about enough. Men need emotional safety just like women do. They might show it differently, but it's just as important. When a man feels emotionally safe, he opens up. He stops pretending. He starts showing you who he really is. You'll see the side of him that the rest of the world never gets to see. The side that's tender, thoughtful, and vulnerable. And once you reach that level with him, you're no longer just someone he's dating. You're his piece. You become the one person he can fully trust, and he'll protect that connection with everything he's got. Because for a man, that kind of bond is priceless. And that's why these simple words mean so much. They might sound small, but they have the power to change how a man sees himself and how he loves you. Because when you show a man that you recognize his effort and believe in him, he doesn't forget it. He starts to see you differently. Not as someone who takes from him, but as someone who builds with him. That's rare. That's why men love to hear it, but only 1% of women say it. Not because they don't care, but because they don't realize how much those words mean. But once you do, once you understand how deeply they affect him, you'll see a different side of love. One built not on demands, but on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. When you understand how to speak to a man's heart, everything about your relationship changes. You stop guessing what he wants or needs because you realize that beneath his strength, confidence, and pride, he's still human. He still wants to be appreciated. He still wants to be told that he matters. And the truth is, very few women ever say the words that truly reach him. That's why when a man finds a woman who does, she becomes unforgettable. It's not because she's the most beautiful or the most successful. It's because she knows how to connect in a way most people never learn. Men are taught to hide their emotions, to stay tough, to never show weakness. But when a woman gives him emotional peace, when she makes him feel valued and respected, he starts to let those walls down. He feels safe enough to be himself. That's why words like, "I'm proud of you," "I trust you," or "I feel safe with you" are so powerful. They're not just words of admiration. They're words of connection. They tell him he doesn't have to be perfect to be loved. They tell him that who he is right now is already enough. That kind of acceptance is something every man craves, but rarely experiences. Most men go through life in silent competition with the world. They're always trying to prove themselves to their boss, their family, their friends, even to themselves. They measure their value by what they achieve, what they own, and what they can provide. But when a woman reminds him that his worth isn't just in what he does, but in who he is, it brings him peace. He no longer feels like he has to constantly earn love. He starts to trust that he deserves it. That shift changes everything about how he shows up in a relationship. He becomes more patient, more affectionate, and more grounded. It's not that men don't want to express their emotions. They just don't always know how. The world doesn't teach them how to talk about feelings, only how to hide them. So when a woman speaks to him with warmth and understanding, she gives him something he's been missing his whole life permission to feel. She gives him space to be open without fear of judgment. And once a man feels that kind of emotional freedom, he'll never take it for granted. He'll fight to protect it because it's rare. A woman who understands this doesn't need to beg for attention or love. Her energy naturally pulls him in because it feels safe and real. Men can sense when a woman respects them, just like they can sense when someone doubts them. Respect doesn't mean agreeing with everything he does. It means showing that you believe in his intentions, even when things aren't perfect. That's what builds trust. That's what keeps a man invested. So when you use your words with intention, when you speak encouragement instead of criticism, you're not just building him up, you're building a bond that lasts, because real relationships aren't held together by attraction alone. They're held together by understanding, by mutual belief in each other's worth. A man will never forget the woman who made him feel like he was good enough, not because of what he could give, but because of who he was when he was with her. That's why only a small percentage of women ever really master this. It's not that they don't love deeply. It's that they don't realize how much impact their words can have. But once you do, once you learn that speaking life into a man is not weakness but wisdom, you'll see him transform. Because every strong man still needs gentle words. Every confident man still wants to feel appreciated. And every man, no matter how tough he looks, will always remember the woman who spoke to his soul when the rest of the world only saw his surface.